Welcome to No Man's Sky Survival Mode, and here we're down on my base, guys, and I'm going to apologise for starting this video with the trailer that was released on the 8th of August. It's the trailer that relates to multiplayer, but there's a few elements in there that I want to talk about, and I thought, unless you never seen No Man's Sky before, the way this trailer hit the community means it's very difficult to avoid it and not even talk about it. So I thought I'd just show it to you at the beginning of the video, get it out of the way. And what I will do is talk a little bit about it. I may put in the occasional screenshot to highlight what I'm talking about. And then after I've done a quick view of that trailer, I'm not going to do a frame by frame speculation. There's already Zane's made a video, Cobra did a live stream, which I found very interesting. So there's already lots of people doing detailed analysis. I'm just going to give you guys my impressions of what I think is coming up, because in that trailer there are a few hints about what could be in part 3. Then what I want to do is bring you up to date with where I am at the moment, because the release of that trailer messed up my schedule. I quite literally finished making a recording for this series about an hour before that trailer hit, and of course the whole video went completely out of context. So this is replacing the video as done. So I'm going to give you guys a bit of an update what I'm doing, and then I'll probably, I'm not sure how much gameplay I'm going to do, because this all seems to be getting a little bit arbitrary. And then I'll talk a little bit about how I'm going to transition from this Let's Play into Beyond. So that's the schedule for the video. So I suppose I better start talking about the trailer a little bit. Now the trailer, I have to admit, is normally when a trailer comes out I watch it and I think, yeah, that's great. Is that actually going to be completely real gameplay, or has it been slightly doctored? And it's very rare for me to actually go through a trailer very slowly, but I have to admit, when I saw, after the first watching that trailer with the flash screens that came up, I actually did watch it very slowly and very carefully. And to me, the trailer breaks into two parts. The first one, which is emphasized by a post on the PS4 forum about an anomaly called Nexus, which is the anomaly that has been appearing in the previous two trailers, where we had these views of from the inside going out, flying over where you've got the area with the potential mission terminals and the ship pads. Well, in this trailer the view is turned round. In fact, it's a two-part view where you're flying up to an anomaly which looks very similar to Nada's and Polo's anomaly, and then you enter, and then the trailer cuts, and then right at the end of the trailer it turns back to the view that we're a bit more familiar of. And the actual PS4 blog post says that this is going to be a Nexus, or assuming that this is going to be a Nexus, and this is going to look very much like it's going to be a multiplayer lobby, but it's going to have, I think it's going to have more roles than that, because the actual blog post says that we'll be able to trade. Now, I think the trade in that description means we'll be able to trade between players. It says there'll be a place to meet, to show off your ships and your upgraded suits, which then leads into another element which I'll talk about later on. So there's going to be these Nexus space stations, anomalies, whatever you want to call them, scattered around the universe. And I was kind of thinking a bit this, because it's very clearly multiplayer. The question that immediately struck to my mind is how frequent these going to be and how they roll, because to be honest, I can't see them being in every single system, because you'd have literally hundreds of thousands of these lobbies scattered all over the system. And how would you meet up with friends and people you want to play with, or just random players? Because, I mean, yes, the community's big, but it's not that big. That's what makes me think that these Nexus anomalies, I'll call them, actually, that'd be the best description, may operate a bit like Nada and Polo's anomalies, that maybe we will be able to summon them. Say, for example, that I'm starting a multiplayer game, and I'm going to play with a couple of friends. Maybe I'll be able to summon it and then invite people into that lobby so you can join up. Or maybe what will happen is that if a community is built up somewhere, a bit like the Galactic Hub or the various other communities around, what will happen is that one of these anomalies will appear in there so that people will have it in a common area. So I'm going to be very fascinated to see how this is actually going to work. Because, of course, The current multiplayer is that you join the game and then people appear in the system, and that's caused a few incidents and problems. I'm also going to be interested to see whether they will appear if you're in single player mode, whether there actually will be. I was just about getting indoors to get out of the storm. I'm going to be very interested to see the relationship between, say, someone who hasn't got multiplayer enabled, or maybe multiplayer will be enabled all the time, so there's a community thing. The other thing I will say about that Nexus is that I wonder if that's where we're going to pick up community missions to earn Quicksilver, because at the moment the current mechanism isn't working now. So I'm wondering whether the Quicksilver missions or the Quicksilver will become the currency to trade between players. Anyway, that's just pure speculation on my part, and that's where I'm going to stop from the point of view of that Nexus. Now, the other thing to do with multiplayer was that when the trailer starts, you've got this very clear view of the avatar walking through a base. Now, the bases look very different from the bases that we've built so far. It's very clearly that some things have been retextured, and I forgot about the storm. Yeah, it's very clear that there's been a lot of retexturing and the way the base is laid out. And if I could show you here, I come in here, we fly out the door. Oh, come on. Of course, it's not a holographic door. We're just going to have to go and stand out in the storm. Thank you, game. I always wanted to stand in a storm. If you look at my base at the moment, it's very solid. It's all interconnected. And you can build away like I've built at the back, but the base is almost a set of linked objects. But if you look at the base in the trailer, there's objects away from the base, items scattered just around. Now, they could be auto miners or atmospheric miners, but it makes me wonder whether the bases will now be interconnected, because there's also hints of power lines. As you see some faint blue lines, and there's also a very clear picture where you can see some lights almost attached to the roof of a cave, almost external lights, and they're all connected with blue lines. So it makes me wonder whether maybe the power lines will be a way of connecting up the bases. There's also some hints of base defenses, but I think some people are already speculating that some of the standalone objects that you actually saw around the base were defense pylons. I'm not totally convinced. I think Zane was speculating on a possible force field, although to be honest, I'm not too sure what you'd be defending against with a force field, unless of course they've radically revamped the strength and the attack ability of Sentinels. That's all a little bit of mystery. I'm not going to get into too much speculation on that. Now, the other thing was that when the avatar walks up through the base, you do get views of lots of other players. Now, it's very difficult to tell whether they are other players who have got customized helmets, because there's some very different looking helmets there. But the other thing I would also say is that if you watch one point in the video, you will see quite clearly what looks like a Vakeen in a spacesuit walking in from the right hand side of the video. And that makes me feel that we're now going to get mobile NPCs. They won't be standing around like this. So it means that if you build a base with terminals, maybe these guys will just be walking around your base. And also there's also the possibility that if you put a landing point in, like I've got round the corner here, whether a ship will land and the NPC will get out and walk around. So rather than trading with the ship, what you will be trading with is the NPC. Oh, the storm's going over now. So that's another element that stuck to me. And of course that now leads on to what is probably the biggest wow factor, and something that caught me completely unexpectedly because I hadn't even thought about it. And that is the ability to ride creatures. There's some very clear pictures of avatars on creatures and riding in groups. So that is going to be a very interesting mechanic, because it does make me wonder whether will creatures gather around your base, or maybe it's a consequence if you feed a creature, then it will let you ride it, or will you have to capture them and tame them? I mean, the possibilities are endless there from that perspective. And again, it just opens up a whole realm of speculation that I'm not going to get into. Also, another thing with the trailer, and it's something that you've got to play quite slowly and maybe stop occasionally, is at one point the avatar walks up close to a ship, which looks totally different from all the ships we got now. There's some really cool textures on it as well, which shows that maybe we will be able to customize ships, or at the very least we're going to get new styles of ship. And I wonder whether that is due to the fact that Hello Games are moving to Vulkan as their new gaming engine and way of representing the graphics. I wonder if that's given them more scope for far better graphics, and that's going to come through. It's also quite clear that some certain things within the game have been retextured, so it's something that always gives me a bit of problem, because I'm a little bit stuck in my ways, and I get used to looking at things and from a certain shade, and when they retexture everything, I always get a bit confused. So for example, there's a good chance we will be losing this atmospheric this atmospheric harvester. We'll probably get there because there's very clearly something deployed which got canisters on the side, and maybe there's going to be different versions. Maybe we'll be able to upgrade them, so rather than the moment like here where we get 250, maybe we'll be able to have bigger storage. Maybe we'll upgrade them. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and I think that's where I'm going to stop, guys, because I've been going on for nearly about 10 minutes and I am starting now to get into pure speculation. This is where I'm going to leave the debate on the trailer. Now, there's a risk that there will be more information coming about part 3, but how that's going to work out I'll talk about at the end of the video. Why am I down on my base? Well, in preparation for the Beyond update, what I've done is I've had a massive tidy up here. What I've done is I've gone through all my storage vaults, I've checked the Colossus, I've been up on my freighter and checked all my spare ships, and what I've actually done is literally gone through all these containers and put on these 5 containers over this side. I've quite literally just put in resources that I definitely need, like cadmium. I think I've got some spare sodium here, and what I've done is I've literally gathered up all the resources, so I actually know, like, I've only got 42 emerald at the moment, and this is the salt. And then on this side, this is my low level manufacturing stuff. This is the ones that are related to my farms, and just to show you how much tidy this is, this storage container is completely empty, and what I've got in here is the base items like the fungal mold. So we've got some more chlorine and ammonia here. I mean, I could take these out and put these over here. So obviously I haven't been as tidy as I thought I was going to be, and well, can't get that in. I think maybe we'll take the navigational data out, put that in there, put the chlorine in there, and maybe we got a spare vault here. Oh, that's full up. Maybe I think I've got some spare capacity in here. Yeah, let's put that in there. And yeah, I mean, I actually found about 50 of these navigational items. You see, I've got 15 there, I've got 9 there, and I actually sold off a lot of stuff, and that's the reason why I show you here. I'm up to over 1,517 million, just literally selling off all the junk and items. As I say, I had nearly 50 of those data components tucked on in various locations. I was really surprised at how many I actually got. So that's the storage all sorted out. Now what I've done with the Colossus is that, again, I've gone through the Colossus and really sorted this out, so that if there are changes to manufacturing, I've got some understanding of what I've got and I can detect on how things have changed. Because again, I had loads of these portable reactors and geodesites, and what I've actually noticed, and I must admit it got completely past me, is that what I really need to do is set up a mechanism to start really churning out quantum processors, which then means I need to make circuit boards, and also to make the quantum processors, you can see down here is the superconductor, which I need enriched carbon, and semiconductors, which is nitrogen salt. So if I was going to carry on and Beyond wasn't coming, what I would probably do is try and put out a lot more atmospheric miners, get a lot more nitrogen and radium, so that I can start punching through and making the quantum processors. Because you can see here, the quantum processors are required for both the fusion igniter and the stasis device. So at the moment I've got the capacity to make 7 stasis devices. If I had 7 quantum processors, you can see here I can make at least 17 what they call it, fusion igniters as well, if I could just make the quantum processors. So that process of tidying up exposed a weakness in my advanced manufacturing, and as I say, if Beyond wasn't coming, I would probably move to fix that, and maybe after Beyond has come out I will do that. But of course we're going to need to see whether there's going to be any changes to manufacturing. What actually happened, guys, is that the video I made just before the trailer updated, I actually got out and completed all the milestones. It didn't take much to do it, because what actually happened is I had a few outstanding missions, and I've actually cleared all the missions out. So my missions area now is very, very tidy. Again, I want to try and keep that tidy now until Beyond comes out, just so I can see what the current status is. I won't have piles of missions down here. And what I did is I went out and actually cleared those out, and what that did is allow me to complete the Corvax. So I'm now in a situation, starting from the top, I've got all 10 of the journey milestones finished. We've got all the GEC missions except the language complete. We've got the Vakines complete, and well, Vakines need to do a bit more language. Corvax are the same, and of course the Merchants Guild's complete, the Mercenaries Guild, the Explorers Guild's big. So effectively now the only milestones I've got left to do is collect the language, which well, there's no way I'm going to finish it in 5 days. I mean, I'd have to literally play hours and hours of videos to accomplish that, which is something I don't want to do. So that's the current status, guys. I've got no missions. I've got all the milestones complete, and to be honest, I'm a little bit of a loss at the moment what to do. I mean, I could just go out and do a bit of general exploration just for the fun of it, but I think for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to do anything. I think what I'm going to do now is just finish this video up by giving you guys a little bit of an update in relation to what's going to come up in the next week. And the way I'm thinking is that I will probably do 1, possibly 2 videos before the 14th of August. One will probably be just a normal video going out doing some normal gameplay. The second video will be as if Hello Games drops any information about part 3. I will then make a video on that. On the 14th, which is going to be a Wednesday, now due to the way that updates are released, I'm not expecting to do anything special on the Wednesday. In fact, what most likely will happen, if yesterday's trailer is anything to go by, what will happen is the whole community will come alive with live streams, people looking at it, and their first looks in. I can imagine most of the emphasis is going to be on VR and multiplayer. So what I will probably do is take a step back and look at the release notes, then make a video with this series to talk about the release notes, and trying to demonstrate as much as I can using this series. And also then, after reading the release notes, I will take a decision on whether to start a permadeath series, because the way things are shaped up with that Nexus, the whole start to the game could be totally different. I mean, it's very difficult to tell at the moment. And then going forward, I will definitely keep this series going for a certain amount of time, and then if the permadeath is viable, then the permadeath will become the primary series, and then this series will be a support series, especially showing you any advanced mechanics. Also, possibly this series will maybe take on a more multiplayer role, assuming that it's possible, because one thing that does make me slightly worried about the extent of the changes in Beyond is whether we are going to get a galaxy reset. That means that bases could be wrecked, planets could change, because we could get new biomes. So that's something that does make me a little bit worried. But however, all we can do is wait, see what happens, and then live with the consequences. Beyond that, guys, I think this is where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to keep this video deliberately short, because I think just trying to tack some gameplay on the end will just look completely artificial and fake. So this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.